Welcome to Reach for the Top, the game in which some of the area's brightest students have an opportunity to demonstrate their knowledge. 24 teams originally entered into our preliminary elimination, and 8 teams have made it to the provincial finals. Now, let's meet today's contestants.
Representing the St. Lawrence area and Thousand Island Secondary School in Brockville, we have Brian Ballinger, Brian Doyle, David Brooks, and Peter Lynn, and their teacher coach, George Knott. Representing the Toronto East area and Woburn Collegiate in Scarborough, we have Trevor Knight, Peter Shirk, Jason Malinowski, and David Riddell, and their teacher coaches, Ms. Mary Doucette and Mr. Larry Rice. Welcome to Game 4 of the Provincials. Welcome, panel. Let's see how you do in a couple of quick questions here. A former Governor-General of Canada, Baron Tweedsmuir, was a well-known author. His name? Jason.
John Buchan. Correct.
The first English sound film studio, famous for its comedies, was built in what London, England borough? Peter.
Marpole.
No.
St. Lawrence. Ealing, the Ealing comedies. Settlers from which European country are thought to have introduced 10-pin bowling to North America? David Riddell.
The Netherlands? Yes.
Buddy Holly, Howard Hughes, and Lyndon Johnson were all natives of which U.S. state? Peter Shirk.
Texas. Correct.
What viral disease is potentially dangerous if contracted by a woman in her first trimester? David.
German measles? Correct.
Okay. You guys are thoroughly warmed up. Here's a man with the answers. Steve Officer. Steve, our judge. Welcome to the fourth game of the Provincials,
Well,
Steve.
it's good to be here, Mark.
This is what it's all about.
That's right. Watch your hand
for the
now.
top trophy.
Yeah.
And we're set to roll then, huh?
Ready to go.
After a couple of important messages, Reach for the Top continues. Okay, let's get started here, panel. Food is the topic. What ingredient, somewhat out of context, is contained in the recipe for a Mexican dish called chicken mole? Secret ingredient. Peter Shirk.
Egg yolks.
No. St. Lawrence area. It's chocolate. Keep that in mind. The seeds of the anise plant used in cooking and baking have a flavor which is similar to the flavor of what? Brian Ballinger.
Garlic? No.
What confection?
Sugar?
Woburn. Peter Shirk.
Vanilla.
Licorice. Chutney is a word derived from the Hindi language and is a relish made of a mixture of fruits and spices. What tropical fruit? Peter Shirk.
Papaya.
No.
What tropical fruit is a favorite for chutney accompanying Indian food? Brian.
Banana? No.
Mango. On to music, panel. For 10 points, listen carefully and identify the vocal range of the singer you're about to hear. Peter Shirk.
Tenor.
That's
Correct.
right. Spot those tenors a mile away, can't you? Or 10 or 11 miles away. Oh. All right, 5 points. You guys are going to have to listen carefully. Okay. For 5 points, scramble panel, name the NHL. David Riddell.
Calgary Flames? No.
Name the NHL team on which Ray Bourque has played for his entire career. Brian Ballinger.
Boston Bruins? Correct.
All right, these are yours. St. Lawrence, Thousand Islands, they deal with the Boston Bruins. In what arena do the Bruins play their home games? Brian Ballinger.
Boston Gardens? Correct.
Which one-time Boston coach has become a hockey celebrity, in large part because of his coach's corner and hockey night in Canada, Brian?
Don Cherry? Correct.
Yeah, well, before the 1989-90 season, who was the last Boston Bruin to win the regular season scoring title? Brian Ballinger.
Bobby Orr? Correct.
On to history, panel. I guess, is that a hat trick for Brian Ballinger? History. Who founded the French Socialist Party in 1971? Trevor.
Francois Mitterrand? Correct.
Who was the first male or first female leader of the Muslim state? Female leader of a Muslim state. Trevor.
Benazir Bhutto? Correct.
Who overthrew the regime of Anastasis Somoza in Peter Shirk?
Daniel Ortega.
Correct.
Words. All of the answers to the following questions begin with the letters L-I-B. Lib. What was the weekly newspaper of a U.S. abolitionist crusader William Lloyd Garrison? Peter Shirk.
Liberty Press.
No.
Thousand Islands. Brian.
Liberty Herald.
No.
The Liberator. This was an ancient Roman unit of weight. Jason.
Librum. Correct.
What is the capital of the Gabon Republic? Brian Doyle.
Libreville.
Correct.
Which U.S. chemist won a Nobel Prize for chemistry in Brian Doyle?
No.
Oh, okay, in 1960, this chemist won a Nobel Prize for chemistry for his technique of radioactive carbon dating. Woburn. David Riddell.
Libson.
No.
William F. Libby. Art. We'd like you to identify the artist who painted the following marine scenes. Let's have a look at the monitor. A leading artist of the Neo-Impressionist movement. This painter even wrote a book about the style. Peter Shirk.
Surratt.
No.
Thousand Islands. That's the Yellow Sails, painted by Paul Signac. Number 2. This artist began as an illustrator covering the Civil War. That's Breezing Up by Winslow Homer. Number 3. Sublime romantic figure, Brian Ballinger.
Turner.
That's
Correct.
right. Keelmen heaving coals by midnight. And number 4. Peter Shirk.
Paul Kane.
Correct.
Indian encampment on Lake Huron. Moving on to Greek mythology. Who led the Greeks against Troy in the Trojan War? David Riddell.
Ulysses.
No.
Thousand Islands, David Brooks.
Agamemnon.
That's
Correct.
the one. Pluto is the god of what? David Riddell.
The Underworld.
Correct.
Whose was the face that launched 1,000 ships? Jason.
Helen of Troy.
Correct.
Elements. Name the element from the description given. The lightest metal discovered by Peter Lynn.
Lithium.
Correct.
This has the fewest known isotopes discovered by Cavendish in 1776. David.
Hydrogen.
Correct.
3 known isotopes. The gaseous element discovered in 1772 by Daniel Rutherford. David Riddell.
Argon.
No.
Thousand Islands. Nitrogen. Inventions. Who invented scuba gear? David Brooks.
Jacques Cousteau.
Correct.
What was the name of the first nuclear-powered sub? David Riddell.
The Nautilus.
Correct.
Who invented the camera obscura, a precursor to the camera? David Riddell.
Da Vinci.
No.
Thousand Islands.
Time.
Galileo. 140 for Woburn against 85 for Thousand Islands. On to religion, panel. From what direction does one enter a mosque? Brian Ballinger.
The East.
No.
From Peter Shirk.
The West.
No.
We could have narrowed it down with a couple more answers. From the north. In Hinduism, how many incarnations of the god Vishnu are there believed to be? Brian Ballinger.
3.
No.
Woburn. Jason.
There are 5.
No.
10. What African head of state inspired the Brian Ballinger.
Idi Amin.
No.
Inspired the Caribbean Rastafarian movement. Woburn. Peter Shirk.
Haile Selassie.
Correct.
Which metric prefix describes a millionfold? David Riddell.
Mega.
Correct.
In which city do the NFL Falcons play? Brian Ballinger.
Atlanta.
Correct.
As of 1989, who was the premier of Saskatchewan? Trevor Knight.
Grant Devine. Correct.
What term describes the path traveled by a body in space? Brian Ballinger.
Orbit.
Correct.
The Germans called it Mittwoch. What day of the week do we call it? Peter Shirk.
Wednesday.
Correct.
That's right. Well, we have a couple of important announcements. We're going to meet an interesting person after these announcements. Reach for the Top continues. Okay, just before we go one-on-one with the panel, let's meet somebody in the audience who's journeyed from afar to visit us today. Jennifer Hammond. Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Hammond, and I represent the St. Patrick's School Reach team from Sarnia. The School Reach teams play in separate leagues from their counterparts, the Reach for the Top teams. Reach for the Top was originally broadcast on 23 television stations, and when it was not possible for us to participate on Reach for the Top, we persuaded our coaches to allow us to compete in a non-broadcast format. We were fortunate enough to be able to play in the Reach for the Top provincial finals and have found it to be an excellent experience.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we're finding it very interesting, too, aren't we? Okay, on to the assigned questions, wherein Brian and Trevor are pitted against one another. We're going to talk about measuring devices, gentlemen. You tell me what the device measures. I'll give you the device. Tell us what it measures. A odometer. Brian?
Distance.
No.
A odometer. Trevor, any idea what that is?
Mass. No.
Rainfall. Measures rainfall. Tachometer. Brian?
Revs per minute.
Yes.
That's right, or speed or velocity. Brian Doyle. Peter Shirk. Sonometer. Peter Shirk.
Sound waves. Sound.
Be more specific.
Sonar waves.
No.
Brian Doyle.
Sound frequency? Yes.
That's frequency of sounds. An areometer. Brian Doyle.
Wind strength? No.
Peter?
Airspeed.
No.
Actually, it measures density or specific gravity of liquids. How about an oleometer, David and Jason? An oleometer. Jason.
Viscosity? No.
David. Measures the purity of oils. Barometer. David.
Atmospheric pressure.
Correct.
Yes. Peter and David. A bolometer. Sounds like something you'd wear with your bowling shirt. No, it's a device that measures heat radiation. How about a zymometer? Zymometer. Z-Y-M-O. Measures the degree of fermentation. The Reach for the Top crew has one in the closet. All right. On to Socrates. Panel, Socrates was proclaimed the wisest of men by the famous oracle of Apollo at what place? Forever.
Delphi? Correct.
Socrates was the first of the trio of ancient Greeks responsible for, Brian Ballinger,
Philosophy.
No.
responsible for the philosophical basis of Western culture. Who are the other two? Socrates and the other two. Woburn. Jason.
Plato and Aristotle. Correct.
What exhaustive war took place during Trevor.
The Peloponnesian Wars? Correct.
Word puzzles. What letter must be added to the beginning of a word meaning to hold in possession or for one's use? To create a second word meaning to remove hair or a beard with a razor. Brian Ballinger.
S.
Correct.
S. We add an S to have and we get shave. Isn't the English language fascinating? Let's try another one here. What letter must be added to the beginning of a word meaning to try the weight of by lifting to create a second word meaning the act or crime of stealing? Peter Lynn.
T.
T, you add T to heft, and you get theft. What letter must be added to the beginning of a word meaning physical injury or mental damage to create a second word meaning a power of pleasing or attracting as through personality or beauty? Jason.
That's a C.
C, you add C to harm, and you get charm. Current events. One cannot think of last year's bicentennial of the French Revolution without thinking of the machine which did away with anywhere. David Brooks.
The guillotine.
Correct.
Did away with anywhere between 17,000 and 40,000 people during those times. The guillotine was designed by a Paris doctor, Joseph Ignace Guillotin, and remained France's standard method of execution until capital punishment was abolished in 1981. What was Guillotin's reason for developing the machine? Trevor.
It's a more humane reason for execution.
Yes.
That's right. Quick, painless compared to earlier methods, which is damning with faint praise, I would think. Guillotin argued that all people, noble or commoner, had a right to be executed in the same manner. When Marie Antoinette was on her way to be executed, what incident happened between her and Henri Sanson, the executioner? Jason.
She advised them to let them eat cake?
No.
That was after that. Brian Ballinger.
He spit on her.
No.
No, as a matter of fact, much more humane than that. Marie stomped on his foot and apologized for doing so. What a nice person. Figures of speech. I'll read an example. You name the figure of speech in each case. I quote, "To our right lay the pond, a swatch of shimmering black satin." What's the figure of speech here, Dave?
Metaphor?
Correct.
That's right. At an early age, he felt drawn to the pulpit. What are we looking at here? Jason.
Personification?
No.
Thousand Islands. Brian Ballinger.
Simile?
No.
Actually, it's metonymy. What figure of speech is involved in this sign placed in the window of an auto body shop? It reads, "May we have the next dents?" David Riddell.
Rhetoric?
No.
Nope. Brian Ballinger.
A pun?
That's
Correct.
a pun. That's for sure. Here's a what am I question. First clue correctly answered is worth 40 points. I was named in 1886 by Horace Wilcox and incorporated in 1903 for 40 points. What am I? Peter Shirk.
IBM.
No.
Thousand Islands. I am universally used to describe individuals or places that are showy, glamorous, or flamboyant. For 30 points, Jason.
Nickelodeon. No.
Thousand Islands. For 30 points, Brian Ballinger.
The Ritz.
No.
I was annexed by Los Angeles in 1910. David Riddell.
Hollywood. Correct.
Hollywood is what we're looking for. 20 points for Woburn. Woburn at 250. Thousand Islands, 185. Music, the topic now. Identify the following groups. Here's another one. Peter Shirk.
Talking Heads.
Correct.
And number 2. Brian Ballinger.
Time.
Woburn, Jason.
Pointer Sisters.
That's right. Neutron Dance. And number 3. Jason.
Foreigner.
No.
Thousand Islands,
Play
Brian.
Hard.
No.
Loverboy. This could be the night. Here's a 20-pointer. What are the 5 known senses of the human body, Brian Ballinger?
Taste, hearing, sight, smell, and touch.
Yes.
Moving right along. Entertainment. Following questions deal with the Phantom of the Opera. Who wrote the novel? David Riddell.
Victor Hugo.
No.
Who wrote the novel Phantom of the Opera, 1911? Thousand Islands. Gaston Leroux. What character is the Phantom obsessed with? Jason.
Christine Daae.
Correct.
Who adapted this novel to a musical? Brian Ballinger.
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Correct.
Who starred as the Phantom of the Jason.
Colm Wilkinson.
No. That's true.
As the Phantom in the 1925 silent movie, fouled as David Brooks.
Lon Chaney Sr.
Correct.
World geography. What is Egypt's chief seaport in the center, Trevor?
Alexandria. Correct.
Formerly called Siam. What country, Trevor?
Thailand. Correct.
What island country in the southwest Pacific Ocean has the capital city of Port Moresby? Trevor.
Solomon Islands. No.
Thousand Islands. Papua New Guinea. What's the capital and largest city of Saudi Arabia? Trevor.
Jeddah. No.
Thousand Islands. David Brooks.
Ridya.
Correct.
Transportation. May 17th, 1834. The world's first motorcyclist was born in Germany. The name, Brian Ballinger.
Benz.
No.
Woburn. Peter Shirk.
Daimler.
Correct.
Gottlieb Daimler. His original motorcycle was based on a bicycle design, and his partner, Wilhelm Maybach, helped him produce the first high-speed internal combustion engine. This led to the development of what industry? Peter Shirk.
The automotive industry.
Correct.
The company he created built the first car with the name of the daughter of his best customer, Peter.
Mercedes.
That's right. Okay, moving right along. I'm going to scramble for 5 points here, panel. For 5 points, which artist who died in 1973 was the founder and leader of the Cubist movement? Peter.
Pablo Picasso.
Correct.
Okay. Woburn, these are yours. They deal with Picasso. What nationality was Pablo Picasso? Peter.
He was Spanish.
Correct.
With which painting did Pablo Picasso introduce Cubism to the world? Jason.
Blue Guitar.
No.
The Young Ladies of Avignon. One of the Picasso's most famous paintings was a mural inspired by his experiences in the Spanish Civil War, particularly a bombing raid on a Basque town that supplied the painting's name. What was the name of this painting? Peter Shirk.
Guernica.
Correct.
Okay. The organ music usually played at the end of a church service is called? Peter Shirk.
The Recessional.
No.
Thousand Islands. Called the postlude. The remote coastal villages of Newfoundland are often called? Jason.
Boonies.
No.
No. Actually, for you Torontonians, it's anything west of the 427. No. But in this case, the coastal villages of Newfoundland called Thousand Islands
Outposts.
No.
outports. John Meehan is the new artistic director of which Canadian ballet company? David Riddell.
National Ballet of Canada?
No.
Thousand Islands, Brian
The
Doyle.
the Royal Winnipeg Ballet Company.
Who has recently won the first NDP seat in Quebec? Trevor Knight.
Robinson.
No.
Thousand Islands.
Time.
Phil Edmonston. When referring to royalty, what does HIM stand for, David Riddell?
I don't know.
Time.
Brian
His
Doyle.
or her Royal Highness.
No.
His or her Imperial Majesty. People, composers. 1926, who published his last major work, the tone poem Tapiola? No time for Tapiola. No time for dessert. We got to get right on to the Snappers. Since 1959, what country has won the men's world championship in curling 19 times? David Riddell.
Canada.
Correct.
What is the Roman numeral for the Arabic 500? Brian Ballinger.
C.
No.
Woburn, David Riddell.
D. Correct.
In Lord Tennyson's poem, how many rode in the charge of the Light Brigade? Brian Ballinger.
1,000.
No.
David.
600.
Correct.
In which year did the Act of the Union appear between Upper and Trevor?
1707.
No.
Between Upper and Lower Canada? David Brooks.
1793.
1841. In the Mood in Pennsylvania 65000. Jason.
Glenn Miller.
Correct.
The Springbok is the national emblem of which country? Jason.
Norway.
No.
Springbok. Brian Ballinger.
Sweden.
South Africa. Who composed the ballet Petrushka in Peter Shirk
Glinka.
in
No.
1911? Thousand Islands. Brian Doyle.
Prokofiev.
No.
Igor Stravinsky. From which country did the Doukhobors emigrate to Canada? Brian Ballinger.
USSR.
Yes.
What is the chemical formula for ethyl alcohol? David Riddell.
C2H6.
No.
Ethyl alcohol. Brian.
CH3COOH.
No.
C2H5OH. What's the capital of Alaska? Trevor Knight.
Do you know?
Correct.
What is the tallest waterfall in the world? Brian Ballinger.
Angel Falls.
Correct.
In Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, what type of bird does...
An albatross.
Correct.
Lake Victoria is the source of which large... Brian.
The Nile.
How many players are found on a water polo team? David Riddell.
11.
No.
Water polo. Brian.
10.
No.
7. What is the rarest of all the inert gases? Jason.
Xenon.
Correct.
Which Canadian literary critic is known for such works as Anatomy of Criticism and Peter Trevor?
Correct.
Okay. Whoa! Under the wire with that one. We'll be right back. A lot of correct answers on that game.
Oh, an excellent game by both teams in Woburn. An impressive 435 points to 285 for Thousand Islands. Great game.
Looking forward to seeing Woburn back, and we'll look forward to seeing you back for the next Reach for the Top when we once again join you on Reach for the Top.
Actor John Goodman expands beyond being a TV hubby on Entertainment Tonight, tomorrow at 7. Channel 11 looks out for America's Most Wanted next.